today, Lord Jesus. Thank you for all that you do, Lord. Hallelujah. Welcome to our service this morning. Sister Creasy done a great job teaching about enduring faith. Sometimes you just got to roll your sleeves up, blouse your combat boots, and just stand firm. If you wait for the devil to let up, you got a long way. He's not letting up, he's tightening up every day. He's tightening the rope every day. So you've got to have enduring faith. Thank you, Sister Creasy, for the good word of God. Let's go to the Lord in prayer and ask Him to bless our service today. Father, in the name of Jesus, we're grateful this morning. Bless this service, anoint it, use it, Lord, in Jesus' name. Amen. Let's sing and worship the Lord tonight. We're going to receive our tithes and offerings. You can be seated if you want to, or you can stand if you want to, whatever suits you. And we're just going to give as given unto the Lord. Whatever you have to give today, you give. And if you need to put it on the ticket, well, we might even arrange that. Hey, Brother Jeff, pray. Would you over the time?
Thank you, Jesus, for today. Thank you for your many blessings. Lord, I pray that you'd bless this office, bless this church family. Just pray that you speak to Brother Creasy and bring your message.
The room grew still as she made her way to Jesus. She stumbled through the tears that made her blind. She felt such pain, some even spoke in anger. She heard folks whisper, "There's no place here for her kind." Still on she came, though the shame that flushed her face, until at last she knelt before his feet. And though she spoke no words, everything she said was heard as she poured her love for the Master from her box of alabaster. And I've come to pour my praise on him like oil from Mary's alabaster box. Oh, and don't be angry if I wash his feet with my tears and I dry them with my hair. Oh, for you were there the night he found me, and you did not feel what I felt when he wrapped his loving arms around me. Oh, and you don't know the cost of the oil in my alabaster box. I can't forget the way my life used to be. I was a prisoner to all the sin that had me bound. And I spent my days pouring my life without measure into a little treasure box that I thought I found. Until the day when Jesus came to me and he healed my soul with the wonder of his touch. So now I'm giving back to him all the praise he's worthy of. I've been forgiven, and that's why I love him so much. And I've come to pour my praise on him like oil from Mary's alabaster box. Oh, don't be angry if I wash his feet with my tears and I dry them with my hair. Oh, for you were there the night he found me, and you did not feel what I felt when he wrapped his loving arms around me. Oh, and you don't know the cost of the oil. Oh, you don't know
your hand. So good to us. We thank the Lord. What about you? How many glad you're a Christian? Amen. You're not sorry you're a Christian. You're sorry you're a Christian. I kind of doubt you're a Christian. You might be. That's a different song. God is good. God is good. Thank you for the singers. Sister Creasy, I'll just take my hat off to you again. Lord, you ought to be the preacher. You ought to be the pastor. Preaching like that. And I've got to come in here behind you. I try to keep people attention. After they done got saved a half a dozen times. Isn't that awesome? Praise the Lord. Book of Mark, chapter 5, for our text today. But she did leave a little bit. So I'll try to cap off on that. Who was that preached about just a little? Is that Frankie Martin? Somebody. Who? Brother Dixon. Brother Dixon, just a little. Verse number 1, Brother Mark, and they came over unto the other side of the sea, unto the country of the Gadarenes. And when he was come out of the ship, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit. Out of the tombs. Did I read that right? Out of the tombs. What a place to spend the night. Yeah. Who had his dwelling among the tombs. It means he lived there. And no man could bind him, no, not with chains. Because he had been often bound with fetters and chains, and the chains had been plucked asunder by him, and the fetters broken in pieces, neither could any man tame him. And always, night and day, he was in the mountains and in the tombs, crying and cutting himself with stones. But when he saw Jesus afar off, he ran and worshipped him. And he cried with a loud voice and said, What have I to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of the Most High God? I adjure thee by God that thou torment me not. For he said unto him, Come out of the man, thou unclean spirit. And he asked him, What is thy name? He's talking to the man. What is thy name? And he answered, saying, My name is Legion, for we are many. My name is Legion, for we are many. A simple thought from a simple preacher. I was telling my wife this morning, we were talking sitting by the fireplace, and it wasn't on, saving gas, but we were sitting. And we were talking about where heaven would be and what's it going to be like, and so on and so on. And come to the conclusion, if Jesus is there, to be heaven. It don't matter if it's here on earth, halfway to the moon and past the moon, or wherever it's at. Jesus is there, it's going to be heaven. We spend more time trying to get there than we do where it's at. We'd be a lot better off. Jesus already got the where it's at in mind. He already knows. And so we were talking about that, and I was thinking about this message this morning. And if you'll let me and allow me and help me, I'm going to preach to you today a man named Legion. Sing me a song, Sherry, a chorus.
I need your mercy. I need your grace.
Lord, we need you today, Father, in the name.
I need your hand.
Lord, we praise you today.
Leading the way. I can't make it without you. Not for one day. I need your mercy.
I need your grace.
I need your grace.
Lift your hand and sing it to him. I need your mercy.
I need your mercy.
I can't make it without you, Jesus.
I need your grace. Lord, I need your hand.
God, I need your hand.
Leading the way. I can't make it without you.
Help me.
No, not for one
God, help me.
day. Oh, I need your mercy.
Help me say something and encourage in Jesus' name. Everybody say amen. Amen. You be seated. God bless you. A man named Legion. Just prior to what I read to you this morning, just prior to this, Jesus and his disciples were sailing on the Sea of Galilee. You'll remember that story, and when all of a sudden a storm shows up, and I believe the Bible called it Euroclydine, if I'm pronouncing it right. And so this storm shows up, and it must have been an awful storm because the disciples were fishermen, and they had been out there on that sea many, many times, and I can't believe for a moment that this storm that appeared that day was the first time they ever was encountered by a storm. Because they fished for a living, you understand. They were out there day after day after day. But something must have been pretty special about this storm because it scared the daylights out of them. I mean, they were shook. They thought they were going to die. They were all uptight. They thought the boat was going to sink, and they were scared. And so this storm must have been a little different from your common, everyday, ordinary storm. It must have not been just a shower. It must have been something like the rains like we had last year, some young floods, as I called them. And so this storm shows up, and they thought we were going to die. They was helpless to solve their problem that they had. They done everything they know to do. They paddled the boat. They dipped water. Everything that was possible to do, they did it. And they were trying to save their lives because they just thought, sure, this was just going to be the end of it. And so they're trying to get the boat under control, and they have no control over it. The story tells us it was, although this storm was exceedingly strong, I'm just going to use my imagination. I'm going to say it was like a tornado almost. It was so strong that it scared them to the point that they thought they were going to die. And it was out of their ability to control the boat because they thought they were going to die. They thought the boat was going to sink. I've never been in a storm like that on the dry ground, land, let alone on the water. I never did really like to be out on a lake or a river when it was coming up a cloud, what we call a storm. When the wind would start blowing and the water would start white capping, I'm ready to go get in trouble. In fact, about 15 minutes prior to that, I'm ready to go get in trouble. But here they are out there, and they couldn't do anything about it, brother and sister, but the one that could do something about it was present. The one that could handle this situation in different writers, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, more Matthew, Mark, and Luke really records this, and some say he was in the ship, and some say he came walking on the water, and it could have been two different events. I can't say for sure, but nonetheless, we're going to say that he come walking on the water in this situation, and all of a sudden, you know that story, somebody hollering, is that the Lord, and so forth, and he calmed the storm by just speaking the words for that storm to lay down. That storm ceased, and it was a great calm, the Bible said. And then all of a sudden we find, this is Brother Creasy now, all of a sudden I just believe when that storm calmed down and the waves quit and everything settled down and the boat went down and leveled off like it should have been, I just believe that their attitude or their nerves and their spirit just kind of said, whew. Right. Come on now. I know what I would have done. I would have said, somebody get the trolling motor. We're getting out of here. Somebody get me to the bank. That storm might come back. I'm getting out of here. But the Bible teaches us that he not only calmed the storm, he calmed the men that was in the boat. There was a great calm. Jesus encounters an impossible situation. That's where he worked best. A man possessed by thousands of demons. There on the Isle of Gadara. Man possessed. And this poor man is in a desperate situation. Can you imagine how it must have been? He is unable to help himself. He can't take care of the situation, and those around him couldn't do nothing with him either. His friends, his neighbors, whomever, his family, nobody could do anything with this poor, possessed man. He was like a wild man. He was crazy. He cut himself with stones, and he lived in a cemetery. He lived in a tomb. I read where back in those days they didn't bury people underground. They buried them up in a rock or in a hole and just rolled a stone in front of it, and that's where he done his dwelling. He dwelled among dead people. No wonder he was crazy. He dwelled there. That was his home. And he lived there. And he just among a bunch of dead people. You talk about funerals. This guy was a captain of going to funerals. Everybody, he went to everybody's funeral. Because they put him in that hole. And he's in there, and he's dwelling there, he's living there, and he's gone crazy, and he's got devils in him, and he's possessed, and he's just out of control. The situation is desperate, and it's helpless, and he couldn't do anything about it. He couldn't visit his family at home. He couldn't go to Christmas dinners. He couldn't go to New Year's Eve parties. He couldn't go to the prom. He had devils in him. You're not understanding me, are you? You got to get the picture. Some people don't even believe in devils. I think maybe they might have them. Well, you understand it. And so Jesus encountered a woman one time that had a dead daughter, a girl. And the situation was hopeless. She's already dead, just like Lazarus was. But Jesus proved that he was the master of all situations.
Right.
He proved he could do anything. He could touch anything, any kind of situation. Jesus was faced with demons. He faced the devil. He faced diseases. He looked disease right. He looked death right in the face. He faced death, and he was able to handle every one of them without any problem whatsoever. He didn't have to call the board meeting. He didn't have to call St. Louis. He just handled the devil. He would tell the devil where to get off and where to get on. He'd tell him when to talk and when to shut up. Come on, somebody. He told that devil, hold your peace and come out of the man. In other words, my language, he said, shut up. And come out of it. We don't find where the devil said nothing else. And so here it is. He's encountering demons. Legions of them. Thousands of them. You say, how do you know? Well, there was 2,000. Was it 2,000 swine or 1,000? 2,000. Thank you. And there was enough devils in the man that each devil at least got him one hog. Because they're all possessed. So we're going to say he had 1,000 plus devils in him. He couldn't handle the situation. Just watch Jesus do what no one else could do. He just reaches out and takes charge. Watch Jesus through the Scriptures. Study the Scripture and watch Him set the captives free. Some of you have been set free by the power of God. Watch Jesus set the captives free and watch Him change a life right in front of your eyes. Watch Him just take charge of a situation. Watch Him change a soul just like yours and just like mine. A life of sin, a life with a person that's covered with sin, and Jesus just speaks a word and sin just has to bow down like a little puppy. Just watch Jesus at work. Watch Him change. Watch Him handle that hopeless situation in your life. Why don't you just watch Jesus work in those situations in your life? Things that you're facing every day. Situation, family problems, home problems, job problems, church problems, sin problems, wife problems, husband problems. Why don't you just watch Jesus take those situations that's in your eyes and my eyes hopeless and you're helpless. You can't do nothing about it. You just watch Him take charge of that situation and change a very life of a young teenage girl that's taken in drugs, a young teenage boy that's taken in drugs. You watch Jesus just speak. tell the devil to get out of him. He said, you come out of that man. And he came out and ran violently down into some hogs, and the hogs ran and jumped off in the water and drowned himself. Jesus just takes control of it. The case was hopeless. Hopeless. He was helpless. Everyone did all they could do for the man. I read you, they bound him with chains and fetters, and no man could tame him. He couldn't be bound. He'd just break the chains like Hercules, just rah, and just rip them apart. And the fetters and the chains, and lived in isolation. He lived in the tombs, and nobody lived there with him if he had any sense. He was isolated from everything. Had dead bodies all around him. You talking about a stink. Talking about a life. But when Jesus stepped out of the boat, I like that. I like he said steps out. Let me tell you what I think happened. You ready? You ready? One devil looked at the other devil. Said, did you feel something? He said, yeah, I felt something. He said, wonder what it was. He said, I ain't sure, but I felt it before. I believe he was the one that kicked us out. I believe I just felt his presence come on this hour. And with all they had, with all they had, they held that man. And they could not keep him from Jesus. He ran and fell down and worshipped him. With 1,000 devils. Plus 2,000. The devil could not keep him from Jesus Christ. I'm going to tell you something, honey. You can quit blaming your wife. What I meant to say was, you quit blaming your husband. You can quit blaming the preacher. You can quit blaming the youth pastor. You can quit blaming the Sunday school department. You can quit blaming the praise singers. And you can point your old phony, dirty, nailed finger to yourself and say, I am my problem. I am what's keeping me from Jesus. Nobody else can stop me. Devil can't stop me, buckaroo. Devil can't hold you back. All you got to do is have a made-up mind. I'm going to Jesus. Praise God. Hopeless. Remember, Jesus can move in your life. He can take things in your life because he has that same power today that he had yesterday. He can break the chains. He can break the nicotine habit. Come on, somebody. He can break the drug problem. He broke it with me. He broke me from drinking beer. He just spoke the word through a young man, about this tall, Brother Leroy Delaney. I would say something like I would say about, he was tall, right? But he really wasn't. He just spoke through that young man, pointed his old finger at my pocket. He said, right there is what's going to keep people from serving God. I said, whoa, not me. Not me. A light came on. I'm reading in the scriptures, ladies and gentlemen, where Jesus Christ can break the chains that bind you and set you free. Just like he did me. I read it in the scripture. It don't say word for word, but I read it in the scripture. I don't have to stop at the package store every Friday afternoon and get me a half a pint or a pint of Jack Daniels. I don't have to do that. Why? Because I stepped out on the shore one day with Christ, and I ran and I worshiped him, and he delivered me, just like he did the man that feeds cows in heaven. I wish somebody else would. The man was helpless. He was held in the grips of Satan, the devil. 2,000 swine. No different from people today. No different. Maybe not 2,000 devils, but the situation is a whole lot like today. when people, Paul tells us in the church to the church at Ephesus, 2:1, and you hath he quickened, who were dead in trespasses and sins, wherein in time past ye walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience, among whom also ye all had your conversation in time past in the lust of the flesh, fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the mind, and were by nature the children of wrath, even as others. This man was a pitiful shame. And sinners today, people that are lost today, honey, are in pitiful shame. They're being controlled by a spirit they don't even recognize. You're not hearing me. That sinners are being controlled. You know why the sinner? If the devil could have kept that man from Christ that day, he would have done it. He would have held him back. Are you listening? And sinners today that don't know the Lord, that are lost, they don't want to come to the light. They don't want to come to Jesus because the enemy is literally controlling them. I was controlled by a nicotine demon. I was controlled by the spirit and the lust of nicotine and booze. I was controlled by the devil had me convinced that I was old enough and I was a grown man and I had children and I had a right to do what I wanted to do. He convinced me that I was okay because I made a living for my family. I took care of my kids. I fed. I put food on the table. And it ain't none of nobody's business, especially that smart-aleck preacher, what I do with my money. And I was convinced until I seen Jesus that day. Something changed. He changed my attitude. No longer was the Grady Williams, that smart-aleck preacher. He was the man of God that helped redeem me and baptized me in Jesus' name. The lost hate things pertaining to God. They don't want things pertaining to God. I remember. I'm an old man. I understand that. I got saved I was pretty young when I got in church. Now I'm an old man, but I can remember. I can remember all about my attitude, and I didn't want to go to church because I didn't want to feel that conviction. I didn't want to have to get up and walk out and let everybody. Where's he going? Well, he hit it. I'm getting out of there. I didn't want that. So I wouldn't go. Hate things pertaining to hate the light. See, the light runs out darkness. You don't understand? The light runs out darkness. They shine the light. The things of God will shine that. That man, if the devil could have, he would have held him away from Christ. He didn't want him. He didn't want to turn that man loose. He didn't want to lose his grip on him. I told you here months ago, a year or two ago, that the reason you have trouble praying for people and getting them in the hand. Listen, mother, listen, grandmother, granddad, the reason sometimes those children and grandchildren are so hard to touch is you're praying against the power of the devil. You're not praying just for that young boy or that girl. You're in a warfare against Satan because he don't want to turn him loose. Well, you don't understand. He's holding to everything he can. Holding to that person. That's why you got to break those chains, those spiritual chains. Or you'll never see the light. You know, I laid me down and sleep and prayed to the Lord, so keep, Lord, you know the rest of it. That ain't going to get it. That might soothe your conscience, but that ain't going to get it. We're fighting against the devil. We're fighting principalities and powers and spiritual wickedness in high places. We're not fighting individuals. We fight individuals. You know, we might get a bloody nose and a black eye, but we could come back. You know, we could. You know, there's always a ball bat. You know, you can always pick up an equalizer. You know, there's always a 357 or something. But you're not fighting that. That's not what we're fighting. And you can break out the 9 millimeters or 350 and all that, but you ain't going to do you a nickel's worth good. We're fighting devils. We're fighting demons. We're fighting. Whew. Oh, I wish somebody would say amen. Amen. People are trapped. They're trapped by sin, pitiful situations. They're trapped. They can't get out. Sin in people's lives drive somebody away. You know why it's hard to get people to come to church? Because there's a spirit driving them away from the house of God. All the preacher wants is money. All he wants is a new car. All he wants is more tithes. Come on, somebody. I know what I'm talking about. I didn't start doing this yesterday. The devil will convince you that the preacher's got no right doing that. He's got no right doing this. He's driving you constantly. Can't you see it? Can't you understand? The devil's not interested in your tithing. He's not interested if you put $100, $200, $300, $400 a week in the pan. That don't bother him at all. He don't want you involved. He ain't worried about your money. He ain't worried about your Uncle Zeke and Aunt Clarabelle. He don't want you involved. I told somebody the other night in my office, I said, if you get right with God, you get your heart right with God, honey, I ain't got to preach about tithes. You're going to pay tithes. You're going to do it. You're going to give God His part if you get your heart right, because you know what God will do and you know what God can do. Somebody said you ain't being pinched unless God pinches you. You ain't being squeezed unless God squeezes you. When God squeezes, buddy, it hurts. This guy was totally out of control. It was out of his category. Men has a way of seeking a cure for everything. They got a pill for everything. I'm not against prescription drugs. I'm not against people that have to take blood pressure medicine or whatever. I'm not even talking about that today. Please, you get that from out of your mind. They got pills and drugs and everything for stuff that will not cure. They build bigger jails, Ernesto. They'll build bigger prisons, a bigger institution. And all they doing is treating the symptom. They're not doing a thing. Get him out of jail, he's going to be the same old thing. Somebody said you catch a hog, give him a bath, clean him up really good, man. I mean, wash under his arms real good, wash his ears, clean him up, put powder, perfume, all, and put a big red bow on him. He's a beautiful hog, but turn him loose. Guess where he goes? Back to the pig pen. You turn them loose if they've not met Jesus Christ. Now, there's people get saved in jail. I'm not saying that. I've always said this, and if it offends anybody, I'm sorry. But all you got to do to get people to want Jesus is lock them up. Everybody wants to get right then. But what are they going to do when they get out? We're talking about a new jail, bigger jails. They promote everything. They try to do everything to change the dilemma. They want to build them a gym, let them play basketball. That ain't going to help teenagers. That ain't going to help. They want to build this. They want to build greater this and greater that. And anything in the world, they're just treating the symptom. The only cure for this world and America, the only cure for your grandkids that's not in church, the only cure for your wife or your husband or your grandma, your grandpa, your doctor, your lawyer, your candlestick maker, your judge, whoever it is, the only cure is Jesus Christ. You take him out of it. You don't have nothing. I can take a bottle of pills a month. I can take a prescription every month, go and renew a prescription for all kinds of things, honey, but it ain't going to do me a flip. Not for my sin problem. It might help my blood pressure. It might help my thyroids. It might help if I got a heart condition. It might help me, keep me living. I'm not against it. Please don't misunderstand. But if I got a sin in my life, honey, I can't take a pill for it unless it's the gospel. Jesus Christ is the only answer. The man had all that. They had his friends. He had everything. He had people trying to help him, trying to tie him, keep him from doing it. Maybe they were trying to tie him to keep him from hurting himself. But it wouldn't work. Jesus just spoke the word. And things began to happen. The lost do what they do because of sin. The drunkard drinks his booze because of sin. The smoker smokes his joints because of sin. Come on. The people that ramble at night and go to all kinds of joints and whorehouses and anything you want to name, It's all because of sin. Come on, somebody. I'm preaching you the gospel today. It's all because of sin. Institutions won't hold them. Jails won't hold them. The lost will not. It's because of sin. They choose darkness over light. John 3:19 said, and this is the condemnation, that light is coming to the world. Jesus Christ, the man loves darkness rather than light because their deeds are evil or were evil. I'm going to say it or I'm going to bust. The reason people don't want to come to God is because their deeds are evil. They love what they do. And the scripture said, for everyone that doeth evil, verse 20, hateth the light, neither cometh to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. But he that doeth truth cometh to the light, and the deeds may be made, that the deeds may be made manifest, they that are wrought in God. Be careful. My sermon, be careful. Be careful today when you desire darkness rather than light. Be careful. Look at your spiritual condition. Look at your spiritual condition. When you find yourself desiring other things more than church and God and life, look at your spiritual condition. And when you find reason to avoid the life. Oh, I don't invite the preacher over. We might want to pop a top. No, you better look at your spiritual condition when you don't want to be around the man of God. When he irritates you. When he gets under your skin. He gets in your hair. His message is not suitable to you. Listen, ladies and gentlemen. For years, my family would come and have a reunion at one of my brother's houses in Memphis. They come from Dallas, and several of them, and I never got an invitation. Why? I irritated them. Just my presence. Well, I didn't smoke their junk, and I didn't drink their booze, and I didn't act like heathens. And that's what people do. That's why people do. That's why. You say, you don't have to preach like that. Why? Why shouldn't I? Are you afraid I'm going to wake you up? Are you afraid I'm going to wake you up? You're going to start wondering what's wrong with me? What's going on in my life? I'm going to try to wake you up. I'm going to scream loud enough. My wife woke up the baby screaming. When you can't sit through a good, hard, apostolic sermon, I'd examine myself. If you can't preach to sit through one, do like Stanley does. Get up and stand against the back wall. While I need to go. No. Now, I'm not talking about when a person's sick. Don't you erase that out of your mind now. When a person's sick, they're sick. Okay? We got people here that are sick. And I know that. But we got people also that just don't like the light. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. I'm hurrying. Oh, I got plenty of time. When you find the reason not to go to the house of God. When you make an excuse not to do it. You have a spiritual problem. It's a spiritual problem. When you find yourself longing for the ways of the world. Looking back, boy, didn't we have fun? Oh, really? Is that what we were having fun? Did we have fun when that big old dude slapped us in the mouth and broke our nose and blinded and blacked our eye and cut our lip and kicked me in the ribs when I was on the floor? Is that what we were doing? If we were having fun? Is that what you call that? You know what I call fun? Down at the Apostolic Church, the United Pentecostal Church. Like we had Sunday night when the man of God got up here. His first time up to bat. He just got up here and knocked it plumb out in the top of the That's what I call having fun. I long for it. I wait for it. I'm reaching for it. I'm going to set me a goal. I ain't asking you to set one, but I'm going to set one. Something is going to happen this year. Hallelujah. This is a dangerous place to be when you'd rather be in darkness rather than light. If you're lost and bound by sin, there's only one cure. Only one cure. When you do not need a pill. I'm not talking, again, please, I'm not talking about sickness. I'm talking about possessed. You don't need a psychiatrist. You don't need a priest that slipped his collar on backwards. You don't need a 12-step Bible study to get you out of sin. You need to meet the one that's able to save you from that sin. Hallelujah. You need to fall in love with Jesus Christ. That's what I did. I fell in love with him. I fell in love with the church. I told you stories after story after story. You wasn't listening. I'm going to tell you again. I had a little rake about that wide. And we had old pukey green shag carpet. Didn't even own a vacuum cleaner that I know of. Well, they wouldn't let me run it anyway. I'd rake it. I'd get to church early every service. I'd rake that carpet. I'd pick up all the little pieces of paper and stuff and get the gum off the seats and get the, people get their chewing gum and their candy, their road wrapper up and poke it right down in that crack. I never had one to why they do that. It looks like it'd be a lot simpler to stick it in your shirt pocket. And when you get home, throw it in the garbage can. It looks like it'd be a lot simpler. It would be much more simpler on me. Because I got to take a pocket knife or something and dig at stuff because you don't took a screwdriver. I'd rake that carpet and I'd get it all looking pretty. You know why? I fell in love with the house of God. I thought this was the place that you're supposed to be. I dreamed when I was a kid. I was just a boy. I'm talking about just running around with my right britches leg rolled up halfway to my knee, my count turned around backwards, on like that, and I had that britches leg rolled up when I rode my bicycle so my britches leg wouldn't get tied up in the chain. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Couldn't afford a chain guard, so just rolled my britches leg up. I'd lay down at night, and I'd dream, I'd daydream about being a preacher. I wanted to be a preacher. I would preach, lay there, and I wouldn't be saying a word. I'd just be preaching up the storm. That day, Jesus touched me, delivered me, called me to preach. I don't need a psychiatrist, man. I know I'm crazy, but I don't need a psychiatrist. I need more of Jesus Christ. Thank God for an endless love of a compassionate Savior, Jesus Christ. I bet I could look around here today. Well, now we got plenty of time. It's 10 to you. I got 10 minutes. I'll get you out of here. I bet I could look around here today, and I bet I could point out people that somebody had written off and saying they'll never do any good. I bet I could. I know one right here. My own brother told me, you'll never make it. If I'm lying, I'm dying. He said, I heard you got religion. We sat at the break table the next morning after I had accepted Christ that night. I was sitting at the break table drinking a Coke. Back in those days, I drank two things. He said, I heard you got religion. I don't know where he heard it from. And it don't take long for news to travel. And I said, yeah. And I was young. I didn't know what to say. I said, yeah. He said, you'll never make it. That's been almost 47 years ago. I could point out people, point you out. Probably you, for one. And maybe even you, sister. And maybe others here. Maybe over Harry there. Stanley, I know they still want me. No. They'll never make it. But by the grace of God and the compassion of a loving Savior, here you sit. Here you sit. You see, I could go around here today and I could do it. Probably just pull them right out of the air. He loved us in spite of us. You said it the other day, Sister Creasy. And he came to where I was. Somebody wrote a song, didn't they? He came where I was in the darkness. Do you all sing that? He came where I was in the darkness. He came right where I was. When I was yet without strength, Romans tells us 5 and 6, when I was without strength, in due time Christ died for the ungodly. For scarcely for a righteous man would one die, yet peradventure for a good man some would even dare to die. But God, verse number 8, but God commended his love toward us in that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. While I was a sinner. No one is beyond His compassionate love. No one. I don't care how mean you are. I don't care what your kind of lifestyle, where you came from. I don't care. I'm a sharecropper's son. I was raised in a sharecropper's home. It was 13 of us. Count 13 of us. I was number 13. I was probably born on Friday, but I was number 13. My daddy raised, I think it was 11 acres, somewhere along there, of cotton, and raised 13 kids. 11 acres of cotton, brother, Ben, you could plow that 2 rounds with these tractors they got now. But that's where I come from. That's where I came from. I came from a sharecropper's home. I was not beyond the reach of a compassionate Savior. Although I couldn't do anything, I couldn't put money in the pan. I couldn't whistle, let alone play music. I learned to play a little music, play the bass guitar a little bit after I got into church. By the grace of God, it was so compassionate. No one is beyond, not even Zacchaeus in a tree could hide from it. How many remembers reading that story? Zacchaeus up in a tree. Jesus, it didn't say Zacchaeus called him. He called Zacchaeus. Come here, Zacchaeus. Come here. Make haste to get out of here, boy. I'm going to your house today. I must have bowed and died. He reached Saul of Tarsus, who hated the church. He hated the preachers. He hated anything about the light. He thought he was righteous and holy according to the law. It reached the Ethiopian eunuch that Philip went down to Gaza and preached to him and baptized him. The eunuch said, here's water. What doth hinder me to be baptized? And Philip said, you may if you believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. He said, I believe. He said, let's do it. And he got down the water and baptized him. And Philip wiped the water out, or the eunuch did. Am I right? Was it the eunuch? He wiped the water out of his eyes and got squared away like that and turned around and looked. Where'd the preacher go? And you know what? The story said they found him down in the next town preaching the gospel. So, and you that's sitting here today, I'm talking to you, with all your baggage of junk, with all your lust, with all your sin, with all your stubbornness. People get so stubborn they turn red. Hard-headed. You're not out of his reach. He's still reaching. Still reaching. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that awesome? Jesus is waiting to set you free. He wants to set us free. He don't want you to be bound. So, when you come to Jesus, He takes what you give Him. No matter what it is, no matter how little it is, He takes what you give Him. If you give Him your heart, He takes that heart, He turns everything around and gives you things you didn't ever know you could have. And here's the thing, I'm closing. Here's the thing. You'll never come to Jesus and leave like you came. Not if you come to Him in the right way. You're right. And here's the thing. When He touches the heart, He never touches a heart that doesn't manifest His glory on the outside. It always comes forth. When He touches you, it's like a well, when one prophet said, of water springing up into everlasting life. It always reveals Himself in the way you live. I don't live like I used to. I don't go there anymore. You say, well, that make you holy? Oh, no. No. I'm being holy makes me that way. I don't go there no more. I don't say those things anymore. I preach a different, I whistle a different tune. So today, don't be the man called Legion. Let Jesus touch you today. This man went home different that day. He went home different. I can't remember exactly what happened after that, but I know he went home different. He was a different person. Sing me a song, Rebecca, if you would. Sherry, one of you all stand with me. If you're here today and you got a need, a problem of any kind, it could be sin, it could be a family problem, it could be any kind of issue you got. Jesus handled every one of them. I read them to you, ladies and gentlemen. I read them to you. He can handle whatever it is you got. Bring it to Him. Run to Him. If not, run, walk.